Hi everyone, I'm Suman. In this video we will discuss how to use .loc, .iloc in Pandas. So first of all, what's the use of this? So these are the available functions through which we can just slice the data, or we can just extract some part of the data, or simply if you want to say, we can just perform data manipulation using this, right? So first let's discuss one by one. First is .loc. So here you can see I just imported the necessary libraries, and also I just read the data using the read_csv file, read_csv function, and this data.csv I just read the data. Like here you can see I just read the data.csv file, and if I just try to read the file, so you can see I just have sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width, and species, and also I just have an extra column unnamed. So first I will just remove that. So here you can see I just have 5 columns, right? Sepal length, sepal width, petal width, and species. So first let's apply this .loc to slice this data frame. So if we just try to check what is the shape of this data frame, so you can see I just have 150 rows and 5 columns in this, and so I'm just using data.loc, and here I'm just using data.loc, and here I'm just mentioning square brackets. Like you can just able to use this .loc on data frames, right? Pandas data frame. So you can see I just used .loc, and what's the use of this LOC means, like so this LOC, like the .loc is used to slice some part of the data. It is used to slice the data. It is used to perform data manipulation. That's fine, but on what should be the inputs for this? So that's the main thing, right? So the .loc for the .loc, the input should be labels, right? It should be labels in the sense we just want to mention the name of the rows and columns that we want to access. That's how you're gonna pass the inputs for this .loc. So here you can see I just have data, right? So I will just use data.loc of 0. So you can see it just given the values present in the first row, right? So you can see I just given data.loc of 0. So see, this is the name of the row 0, right? 0. So when I just specified the 0, it just given the entire row. So that's how you can just use this .loc. And also you can just mention so if you want to slice some part of the rows, right? For example, let's say I just want from first row to some 10 rows, right? I just want that. So for that you can just mention 0. I'm just given colon. It means this is the 0 is the starting value, and colon now I should mention the end value, right? So here you can see I just mentioning 11, right? So see, normally when we used to slice, like normally when we used to use the start and end values, it is used to take the value, like it is used to take the values less than that of the end value, right? For example, let's say if we just given 11, it will just take up to 10, but in LOC that's not the case. So if you just given 11, it will just consider that value also. So you can see I just got from 0 to 11. Now if you want to get 10, so if you want to get 10 values, so you can just give 0 to 9. So you can see I just got 10 values, 10 rows, right? So that's how you can just slice the rows. So that's how you can just extract some part of the data. And also I just want 10 rows and also only 2 columns. So for this all the 10 rows, I don't want all these 3, right? All the other 3 columns. I just want sepal length and sepal width. So in order to give that, you can just mention the comma, right? You can just mention comma. Now you can just mention the dimensions of the columns also, right? You can just mention the name of the columns which you want. So I'm just specifying the start is, and just mentioning start as sepal length, and similarly I'm just giving colon. So now you have to specify the end value, like end column name. So for that, sepal length, and here I'm just giving sepal width, right? So here you can see I just mentioned the rows, and also like I just mentioned the rows in the format of start and end, and also I just given the comma, and here I just mentioned the columns. So I just mentioned you, I just said you, right, this is the LOC. You have to mention the labels. So that's how I just mentioned the sepal length, and this is the start value, and the end value is sepal width. Now if you just try to give enter, you can see I can able to slice the entire data, like whatever data I want. I have just mentioned the condition, like I just mentioned, I just slice it, right? So that's how you can just use this .loc. And also you can just perform, similarly you can just perform n number of operations. For example, say if you want a sepal, like if you want all the data for which the sepal length greater than 5, all the values, like all the data in which the sepal length will be greater than 5. So in order to give that, you can just mention like data.loc of, and you can just mention data of sepal length greater than 5, right? So just give enter. You can see I just got 118 rows in which the sepal length is greater than 5. So similarly you can just give whatever condition you want, whatever the data you want, right? So that's why you can just use the .loc to slice the data and also perform some data manipulation. The main thing that you have to remember is while using .loc, the input should be in the form of label, like input should be of labeled. Input should be labeled input. It means you should give whatever the names of rows and columns which you have in your data, you have to mention that. So that's about this .loc. Next thing is, and so if you want some more detail about this LOC, you can just give shift tab and you can just see the complete explanation of this .loc, and also you can see all the use cases through which, like in which situations you can just use this LOC, and all these things you can just see here, the explanation. So that's about this .loc. Next thing is .iloc. So I'm just giving data.iloc. So here from the name itself you can just understand, right, this .loc, it means I in the sense integer. So the input should be of the integer form. So here you can see I just mentioned the, so in order to access the rows I just mentioned 0 to 9, that's fine, but to access the columns I just given the sepal length and sepal width. So these are not the integers, right? So you can't use this. So if you want to extract data using .iloc, you can't mention the strings. So you just want to pass the integers. So let's try to pass this. You can just understand data.iloc of. So you can see. So when I just pass this, you can see I just got type error. Like cannot do positional indexing on index with these indexes sepal length of type string, right? You can see the exact reason why we can't able to do this. So you can't pass string to the .iloc. So similarly if you want to access, you can just pass the indexes value like integers. So you can see I just pass data.iloc of 0, 9. You can see I can get the complete, like I can get the data. But here the main thing that you have to remember here is, here I just mentioned 0 to 9. This is 0 is the start value, 9 is the end value. But here it just taken the value, like one value less than the given value, right? Since we have given 9, it just taken up to 8. So that you have to, that's the difference that you have to understand between this. So that you have to understand in .iloc. So if you want to access 10 values, so here you have to mention the 0 to 10, so that it will just take from 0 to 10 minus 1, that is 9. So you can see now I got 0 to 9, like 10 values. So that's how you can just mention that's how you can just access the data. And also if you want to mention the columns, right, in a similar way how we have mentioned here, data.loc of, I just mentioned sepal length and sepal width, right? So if you want to mention like that, so similarly you can just give 0 and 2, right? So it means 0 is the starting, like 0 is the starting column, and 2, since we have given 2, right? So it will just take values up to 2 minus 1, that is, it will just give the 0th column and first column, which is like sepal length and sepal width. So if I just give enter, so you can see I just got that data, right? So that's the difference between this .loc and .iloc. If you are using .iloc, you just want to mention input should be in the form of integer, right? So here we have just passed it in the form of range, right, from 0 to 10. So similarly, if you want some 10 columns, like random 10 columns, like 1, 5, 6, 7, like that, if you want some 4 columns, you can just give the name of the columns in a list format, and you can just pass that to the .iloc or .loc. So even you can do, like, you can just pass in such manner, like you can just pass in the form of list, you can just pass in the form of array, you can just pass those values, like those index values, and you can able to extract. So that's about this video. Like, I hope you understood the .loc and .iloc and how to use this to extract the information what we want, right? I hope you understood, and also you have understood the difference between these two. So that's it for this video. So if you feel this video is helpful for you, like the video, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, and thanks for watching.